Ibram Kendi. Oh, I love it. I love it. When you are debating a leftist, sometimes the best thing you can do is just let him talk. If you this was Donald Trump's big problem in that debate with Joe Biden, is Biden was destroying himself. He was undermining all of his own points. But President Trump, I guess, had been coached to interrupt a lot and try to off-foot Biden, and it didn't work. If you just let Biden talk, Biden would have beat himself in the debate. He would have caused himself to lose. That's what Kendi did. Kendi tweeted out, this race-hustling con artist, Ibram Kendi, tweeted out, quote, "More than a third of white students lied about their race on college applications, and about half of these applicants lied about being Native American. More than 3/4 of these students who lied about their race were accepted." Go on. What does this mean for your claim that white people have all of this privilege in the country and that there is discrimination in favor of white people? What does that mean? You're so close to getting it, Ibram Kendi, but then he realized what this means is that there is no such thing as white privilege in this country. Actually, there's discrimination against white people and Asian people as well. But notably white people, and for some reason the Asians get lumped in with the whites. And so if you apply to college and you say, I'm a white person, you are going to be discriminated against. And if you apply to college and you say, I'm a black person or I'm a Native American person or whatever, you are going to be discriminated in favor of your application. You're going to receive bonus points. You're going to jump ahead of a white student or an Asian student who have the same scores and an otherwise similar resume. So Ibram Kendi realized that. He realized that his whole claim for his entire grifting career is bogus, and so he deleted the tweet. Then he followed up, because there was a lot of conservatives jumped on him. Notably, Jack Posobiec was really just brutal to Ibram Kendi. So Kendi follows up. He says, "They lie about what I said to defend the lying of white college applicants." No, they're not lying. We were just quoting you. We were just posting your screenshot. That's not lying. That's exposing exactly what you said verbatim. He said, "Here is their tortured line of thinking. When white applicants think they have an advantage by lying about being a person of color, then that means they do have an advantage, which then means that structural racism doesn't exist." No, buddy, you're saying they have the advantage. You said it. You said that when the whites applied and lied about their race and said they were black and Native American, they did better than whites who just apply and say that they're white. You said that, which means you proved that the so-called structural racism doesn't exist. And actually it does exist, but it discriminates against whites and against Asians. You proved that. Jack Posobiec, who is one of the people most prominently taunting Ibram Kendi on this point, he tweeted out, he said, "Guys, I broke Kendi. I broke him. The guy was pushing his stupid racial theories. He's the most prominent peddler of critical race theory in the country. And then he hoisted himself on his own petard, and then I mocked him a little, and I broke him." So then Kendi responds. He says, "A white man." It just goes back to this, how dare you? How dare you, evil white man, criticize me, a con artist who happens to be black? "A white man is attacking a black person with lies, which are violent. The black person resists. The white man keeps attacking until he declares he broke the black person. That's the contest. Seek a book about slavery." In other words, if you make fun of me, a grifting con artist, race hustler on Twitter, you are no different than an enslaver in the antebellum South. And I'm a slave. One of the most lauded, feted, wealthy, famous hucksters in the country, I am no different than a slave. They imagine white people are disadvantaged. Well, white people are on the higher end of nearly every racial disparity. They imagine black and Native people have racial advantages. At the same time, black and Native people are on the lowest end of nearly every racial disparity. Shaking my head. Okay, so obviously, Ibram Kendi, despite his protestations to the contrary, he knows that his first tweet undermined his entire thesis. He knows that. If he didn't know that, if that first tweet did not undermine his hustle, why did he delete it? If it was totally fine and it's my words are being twisted, people are lying, well, then why'd you delete the tweet? Because you know that it undermined your thesis. But there is something to this last point. This last point is what allows him to continue to push this nonsense and make $1 gazillion on his books and his lectures and shaking down corporate America and winning all sorts of liberal prizes. The hustle is permitted to continue because there are disparities between racial groups in the country. And white people generally do very well. Asians often do a little bit better. Asians became white somehow. I don't know how they became white, but they have white privilege. That doesn't look like they do, but they do. And black people don't do as well, and Native Americans really don't do as well. Okay, so what is that? What Kendi is saying is there are racial disparities in income, in education, in all sorts of things. So how do you explain it? If it's not because the evil white man is keeping everybody down and he's an oppressive, malignant force in society, then how do you explain it? And there are different explanations for this. The libertarians say it's all about choice. The libertarians say that different racial groups, by and large, make different choices when it comes to different things, different aspects of society, and this will lead to different social outcomes. The traditionalists say that tradition matters, that culture matters, that there are these holdovers from different cultures. Obviously, there are a whole lot of different cultures in America, and some of them are more conducive to flourishing in this country, and others are not. The racial essentialists say that people are just, entirely different, and it's all biological, and it's all in your DNA. So, and what Ibram Kendi is trying to do is suggest that if you in any way deny white privilege or, critical race theory or any of that, then you're just like a evil, vicious, racist, bigoted sort of person. But you're coming at the question from the wrong perspective then. Why do racial groups do differently in the country? I don't know. It's complicated, right? Because it's complicated. I don't know, because different groups have different practices. They have different traditions. They come from different places. There are different historical circumstances. I'm willing to grant all of that, okay? But the fact remains that when the white kids lied about their race and pretended to be from the other allegedly disadvantaged races, they got an advantage, which means that the structural, legal racism that you're talking about does not exist as you say it does, and actually it exists in the other direction. And so if Ibram Kendi really wants to figure out why there are social problems in the country, you need to look somewhere else. Look to fatherlessness. Look to certain social pathologies. Look to these issues if you actually want to solve that problem. But Ibram Kendi doesn't want to solve that problem. Ibram Kendi wants to keep making a couple bucks, more than a couple bucks really, by shaking down guilty white liberals and hustling them at their corporations and their schools and their local governments. And he's making a lot of money doing it, and he's making a big name for himself. But he's obviously not solving any problems. Okay, they've got to invent the white racists, the evil white supremacists who allegedly run this country. They have to invent them. They don't exist. How many of them are there? Like 3? They don't exist. Hey there, YouTube. Ring that bell. Please. I want to be polite. Please ring the bell. Subscribe. Theoretically, you should get notifications when you do that. You probably still won't, but that's okay. That's fine. You can also go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Type in The Michael Knowles Show. Subscribe. Maybe leave a 5-star review. We'll see you there.